Kimmel will join us at 11:22 in the F4U Corsair, and we'll welcome the F-35A Lightning IIs from the Alabama Air National Guard's 187 Fighter Wing, the Red Tails. At 11:30, wing walker Carol Pilon will take flight on top of the Boeing Super Stearman biplane, and we'll see one of the most talented and mechanical airshow performers anyway, R.J. Gritter, as he performs in the decathlon. 12:10 will feature Team Redline, showcasing the father-son duo of Ken and Austin Reeder. We'll see the award-winning Titan aerobatic team and the very talented Skip Stewart will return to the skies of Pensacola, and its biplane he calls Prometheus. Rounding out the 1 o'clock hour, we'll see the display by and gentlemen, boys and girls, a very pleasant good morning to each and every one of you. And on behalf of the Santa Rosa Island Authority and the entirety of our airshow production team, the warmest of welcomes to the shores of Pensacola and the 2026 Pensacola Beach Airshow. My name is Luke Carrico. I am from Indianapolis, Indiana. It is my distinct pleasure to serve as your master of ceremonies for the aerial action high above the Panhandle and the Gulf Coast on what's shaping up to become a truly impressive Saturday morning. In just a few moments, we are about to see some of the world's finest aviators as we set the stage, the open sky, for one of America's finest aerial events and a show unmatched anyplace else in the nation this weekend. On today's show, we will see members of the Red Bull Air Force as they help open our show with our American flag in tow. Shannon Elliott joins us flying the World War II North American Advanced Trainer, the SNJ, and Frank Kimmel is here in the Corsair. Stephanie Getz will take flight in the Pink Jet. We'll see airshow staples R.J. Gritter, Team Redline, Wing Walker Carol Pilon, and the award-winning Titan aerobatic team. From the Air National Guard of Alabama, we'll see the F-35, Skip Stewart and Prometheus, the Red Bull Air Force in their full complement, and of course, you won't want to miss the United States Navy Blue Angels. We are going to have a great day as we take flight. The 2026 Pensacola Beach Air Show, nourished by Manson, begins. Let's fly! Our eyes to the skies now as inbound to Show Center are members of the Red Bull Air Force. They are on board the BO-105 helicopter currently circling high and overhead. And very shortly, America, honor our flag, and salute the men and women who serve beneath that flag with our traditional air show opening. The Red Bull Air Force, a team assembled from some of the most accomplished and experienced aviation experts on the planet. They specialize in highly coordinated aerial jump demonstrations and continue to push the limits of human flight. We've got a hot target, ladies and gentlemen. The BO-105 helicopter, flown by Aaron Fitzgerald, is directly above us. And joining him at altitude is that of Kevin Coleman, flying the Extra 300 SHP. One final check of the wings, one final check of the parachutes, and one final check of the drop zone. As shortly, we'll be seeing that of Luke, Mike, and John as they depart the side door of the helicopter. We've got jumpers away, ladies and gentlemen, coming earthward now at full free-fall speeds in excess of some 120 miles an hour. That's Luke Aikens, Mike Swanson, and John DeVore, and what an incredible view they have. At a predetermined altitude, they will pull on a small leather ball located by their right hips and deploy the high-flying red and white canopies of the Red Bull Air Force. It's a magnificent sight overhead as Kevin Coleman circles with his smoke. And momentarily, we will salute our flag with our national anthem. The Red Bull Air Force take a great deal of pride in flying in our stars and stripes, and they do so with the dignity and the respect that it deserves. Effectively, because it is flown under canopy, it is considered a banner, but know that every effort will be made to ensure it does not touch the ground for any longer than it needs to. The entirety of the Red Bull Air Force perform with what are known as Ram Air canopies, flying them much like how the Wright brothers did back in 1903. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you are within the sound of my voice and you are able, please stand, remove your caps, and come to attention as we welcome Aubrey Helm in the singing of our national anthem. Mike Swanson, and John DeVore. They are the Red Bull Air Force.
Good job, John.
Well, with our jumpers safely on the ground, our air show action continues as we bring to you the gentleman who helped circle our American flag. His name is Kevin Coleman, and he's flying one of the world's most impressive aerobatic superplanes. He has been cleared into the box. Take a look, everybody, as we welcome in this most excelling aviator of our air show business, making the difficult look easy and the easy look amazing. Please make welcome to the skies of Pensacola. It's Red Bull's Kevin Coleman. Now, when I refer to a bit of a morning warm-up, these guys and gals that do this type of flying live their lives a little bit differently, working to be better each and every day. I don't know about you, but my morning warm-up consists of a glass of water and some aches and pains. You know how it is. But for Kevin and other members of the Red Bull Air Force, this is just another walk in the park, and the G-forces in that cockpit are truly extraordinary. As we stand here on Earth, we are at 1G or 1 times the force of gravity. But as Kevin pulls back and climbs, he will be pushed to his seat by 10, 11, and for short bursts, 12 times the force of gravity, or 12 Gs. A 200-pound person like me would then weigh some 2,400 pounds in that cockpit. The smoke exploding in the sky, showcasing to us just a preview of one of the most to-be-reckoned pilots in the air show business today. Let's give it up for Kevin Coleman. An aircraft designed in Germany for exactly what we're seeing right now. He works the ailerons, the forward roll, the elevator for pitch, and the rudder for yaw in unison. His hands, feet, and his headspace stay busy throwing this airplane across the sky like a broken toy and thinking it no different. Kevin got his start in flight at a young age. By age 10, he was already taking aerobatic lessons in his family's decathlon. He was taught how to fly this type of flying by the famed Marion Cole. He is one of the most impressive pilots on the circuit today. Let's again put our hands together and make some noise for Red Bull and Kevin Coleman. And he's just getting started. This extra 300 SHP, constructed mostly of carbon fiber and other lightweight materials. It weighs in less than that of a small car, but Kevin has over 350 horsepower at his fingertips, courtesy of the Lycoming AEIO 540 engine. If you do the math, it gives him a thrust-to-weight ratio of nearly 1-to-1. It allows him to perform things in this airplane once thought to be impossible just a mere 40 years ago. We're going to watch him to the left as he pulls back on the stick, hunting for the sky once more as he looks at us from the inverted position. He'll hold on the 45-degree downline as he picks up his airspeed once more and extends off to the right end of our aerobatic box. Also joining that of Kevin Coleman in the aerobatic airspace, a guy from Washington State, now by way of California. He's one of a few anywhere in the world authorized to do that. Aerobatics in a helicopter. That's Aaron Fitzgerald. We'll see more from Aaron a little bit later on in our show.
1% of anybody in the world can do that.
And just to think, this is a warm-up. This is a tease of what we're going to see a little bit later on. Judged by your round of applause, how do you like the Red Bull Air Force? Flown competition aerobatics. He's competed in air racing and air show performance on the highest level and has done so across multiple countries on multiple continents. He's based out of Coachella, Louisiana, and has accumulated thousands of hours of flight time and has performed at air shows and competitions from California to the United Kingdom. He also founded the Marion Cole Memorial Scholarship, helping young people who share his passion for flight find their own path to the sky. He wants to say a very big thanks to Two Bro Aviation, Hartzell Propeller, Tempest Aero, Kelly Aero, CJ Aviation, and of course to Red Bull, his sponsors for the 2026 Air Show season. We want to extend a very big thanks to the Red Bull Air Force for opening our show today, as well as the pilot of our Red Bull helicopter, Aaron Fitzgerald, and of course our jumpers, Luke Akins, Mike Swanson, and John DeVore. How about that, America? Let's put our hands together for the Red Bull Air Force. Indeed. And we'll see more from the Red Bull team a little bit later on in our show. Well, of course, Pensacola, Florida, considered by history to be the cradle of naval aviation. And it was here in Pensacola and now in nearby Milton at Whiting Field that naval aviators earned their wings. And in just a moment, we're about to welcome an aircraft that very much helped provide exactly that. During World War II, it's the North American Advanced Trainer, known in naval aviation as the SNJ. The SNJ served as the final stage of a three-step process to train new aviators how to fly complex aircraft. And today, under the hands of pilot Shannon Elliott, we're about to see a few of those basic maneuvers taught to tens of thousands of American and Allied pilots during World War II. They call the SNJ the pilot maker. You may know it best by its Air Force designation, the 86 Texan, 18 standing for Advanced Trainer. Our friends to the north, the Canadians, and also the British called it the Harper. Three names, essentially the same airplane, because it was indeed that of higher learning. And in just a moment, Shannon Elliott from Sunset, Louisiana, will be inbound an aircraft that, well, was a bit of a handful to fly on purpose. It was back during the 1940s that we needed a lot of pilots, and we needed them very quickly. And those 17, 18, or 19-year-olds would get their start in a primary trainer like a Boeing Spirit 5 plane, Model 75. They learned the primary elements of flight, you guessed it, takeoffs and landings, and then moved on to basic training in aircraft such as a full-T BT-13 Valiant. After mastering formation flying, cross-country navigation, and flying at night, they would then move onwards to the advanced trainer. They were the SNJ. SNJ stood for Scout, N standing for North American, and J stood for Trainer. It was the designation system used by the United States Navy and the Marine Corps. It was from the advanced trainers, and one that we'll get an example to see here in just a couple of short seconds, that helped provide the experience for those who would go on to fly airplanes such as the Curtiss P-40 Warhawk, maybe the North American P-51, or even the Lockheed P-38 Lightning. But if in naval aviation for the U.S. Navy and the Marine Corps, some of those airplanes could have been the Grumman-built F-4F Wildcat, maybe the F-6F Hellcat, or even the new kid on the block during World War II, the Chance Vought F-4U Corsair. We'll get a chance to see one of those here in just a couple of little bit as well. Right now, our Air Boss team, that of Paul Intrican and Antonio Moray, have worked to launch Aaron Fitzgerald with the Red Bull jumpers. They're going to clear as we are now smoke on with Shannon Elliott. Let's take a look, everybody, as he flies this airplane up and over the top, powered by the Pratt & Whitney R1340 radial engine. Let's welcome Shannon Elliott and the SNJ. a noisy airplane indeed. Some 3 tons of aircraft being brought to flight by a 9-cylinder radial engine. Those propeller tips actually rotate around at around 2,400 revolutions per minute. That loud snarling sound you hear, not so much the engine, but rather those prop tips going supersonic at around 2,400 revolutions per minute, essentially creating miniature sonic booms. We're going to watch to the left as Shannon Elliott performs his second aerobatic maneuver. This is the big old barnstorming barrel roll as he maintains 1 plus positive G on the aircraft all the way around. Shannon is one of the newer airshow pilots on the North American airshow circuit, but he's no stranger to aviation. With thousands of hours of flight time accumulated in many different kinds of aircraft, he just loves flying and sharing his passion for aviation with everyone he can. It was during the 12-phase, 12-month process in World War II that each of those flight training phases would cover about 12 weeks, and a new pilot, a new student aviator, would obtain about 70 to 80 hours of flight time in the S&J before going on to their combat assignments. But as the war progressed and the more pilots were simply needed, that time decreased in some cases down to, say, 15 hours or less. I had more time on a dirt road learning how to drive a car. More than 15,000 of these advanced trainers were built during World War II between 1935 and 1953. In fact, America built more than, get this, 300,000 aircraft during the Second World War, as Shannon Elliott again reapproaches from the left in the S&J.
Thank you.
He'll wing over it back in from the left, getting some altitude to, well, get this very heavy 3-ton airplane where it needs to be. Back then, of course, the aircraft, no hydraulic systems. It's all pulleys and cables in that aircraft and a whole lot of muscle power as Shannon Elliott again dives in from the left. Nicely flown for us today. Let's put our hands together for Shannon Elliott and the North American Advanced Trainer, the S&J. I was talking to you a little bit about that radial engine up there on the nose, some 600 horsepower being driven by its 8.5-foot diameter propeller, and it makes those miniature sonic booms at power we were telling you about. So many of these aircraft were built during World War II. Today, around 300, maybe 400 are in airworthy condition in civilian ownership. They were sold surplus after the war. No kidding, we had hangars and warehouses full of these things. You could have bought one fresh from the military for about $600. Today they go for a clean $250,000, depending on their condition. What an investment that would have been. And because America was so busy building these airplanes in great numbers, the true number of how many of these aircraft were built will really never be known. And that's according to the historian at North American Aviation. I've seen numbers as low as 8,000. I've seen it as high as 20,000. Their records were really off the charts. This airplane, the S&J, is very relevant to this region because it served in the advanced training role at Naval Air Station Pensacola in large numbers at Sherman Field. Many outlying or auxiliary airfields surround it, including Softly Field on the west side of town. It was there that they taught formation flying. In World War II, NAS Pensacola was training up to 1,100 aviation cadets per month. It was 11 times the amount trained prior to the start of the conflict.
Oh, take as many as you like. Oh my gosh.
The SNJ equipped with 2 seats with full controls at both pilot stations. Usually the student would sit in the front, the instructor in the back seat. The SNJ has a maximum speed of about 240 miles an hour and weighs in at about 5,300 pounds. Approaching again now, high and to the left from Sunset, Louisiana, it's Shannon Elliott and the SNJ. Very historic, this aircraft. It's one of the most iconic airplanes of World War II, and we are seeing it in a big way here at the Pensacola Beach Airshow 2026, nourished by our friends at Manson. He'll bring it back around for his next pass, Shannon Elliott from Sunset, Louisiana. Shannon is a really genuine, wholesome guy. He lives on his own private grass runway in Louisiana, where he and his wife Vicky also own a bright pink Stearman biplane. He annually hosts Rockin' on the Runway. It's a charitable event that raises money for local schools that support children and young adults with developmental disabilities. He performs today here in the historic SNJ-5 at the Pensacola Beach Airshow. Back in 1946, when the Blue Angels were established in April of that year, those F-6F Hellcats that they flew were actually accompanied by one of these North American SNJ airplanes. And it was outfitted at the time in a Japanese paint scheme. And it was, in fact, early on that part of their routine that the Hellcats would go and jump the, Japanese aggressor and do kind of a mock dogfight routine. So, again, while the SNJ wasn't necessarily formally flown in blue and yellow colors, it was in yellow colors that helped later develop into the F-8F Bearcat that the Blue Angels flew. They called it the Beetle Bomb. The sound of Round. That'll complete his performance for us today. How about we give a very big round of applause for Shannon Elliott and the North American SNJ.
Hi, I'm Kyle Kozad, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Naval Aviation Museum Foundation. I'd like to welcome everybody to this year's Red, White, and Blues Pensacola Beach Air Show. This year's going to be exciting. The weather's going to be great, and you're going to see the most impressive aviators in the world. Our Navy's Flight Demonstration Squadron, the Blue Angels, who are celebrating
Operated by the nonprofit organization known as Aerial Angels, the Pink Jet is an Aerovodohody L-39 Albatross, a former Eastern Bloc military trainer that today travels the country using aviation as the platform to raise awareness for breast cancer, encourage early detection, support survivors, and inspire the next generation of women in flight. The L-39 is still used to this day by many militaries around the world, but it's become a very popular jet warbird. Many are air racers participating at the National Championship Air Races, now held in Roswell, New Mexico each September. And for events like this one, features a bright pink paint job and a special smoke system as well. Stephanie Getz has been cleared in. Ladies and gentlemen, here she is. Let's welcome Stephanie Getz and the Pink Jet, the L-39 Albatross.
But they're just as good. If you try it.
The artificial sugars, they give me migraines. Like the aspartame.
Stephanie is one of a handful of pilots who flies the Pink Jet. Her path to aviation was one that was anything but traditional. Before becoming a professional pilot, Stephanie spent nearly a decade as a television news anchor and sports broadcaster for many major news affiliates. Aviation wasn't really on her radar until she picked up an assignment to cover a story about flying. She climbed into a Piper Archer and took the controls for the very first time. She was hooked. Today, Stephanie holds 5 different jet type ratings and a variety of corporate aircraft, including the Citation Latitude and the Bombardier Global 6000. And one of the cool features about this Pink Jet, the L-39 Albatross, is indeed its smoke system out there. It's one of the only in the world that features a custom pink smoke dye that is injected into that oil that we were telling you a little bit about earlier that produces the smoke trail for us to follow. It's environmentally friendly. We're going to watch now to our left-hand side as she dives in. Smoke on from the left as she repositions the Pink Jet, the L-39, for another pass down the line. Breast cancer impacts millions of families each year. And through air shows, educational events, community outreach, and partnerships with leading organizations, the Pink Jet works to make a difference in the air and also on the ground. The Pink Jet partners with the cancer support community, providing services for patients and families alongside the Susan G. Komen organization and Angel Hair, providing wigs to women undergoing treatment. The L-39 Albatross first took flight back in 1968. It's a Czechoslovakian design and served as an introductory jet trainer for many Eastern countries. It continues to serve in that role worldwide. On top of its great flying characteristics, the L-39 is a superb airshow mount for several civilian aerobatic display teams, including the Baltic Bees of Latvia, America's Patriots jet team, and the previously sponsored Breitling jet team of France. The L-39 has a wingspan of some 31 feet and can reach speeds of some 400 knots or about 450 miles per hour. Stephanie will reapproach from the left-hand side once again in the Pink Jet, this bold aircraft that also serves the important mission to empower women and young women and to pursue careers in all of that is flight and aviation. The female pilots and the organization help mentor new aviators, support women in aviation, and work to create opportunities for future generations of female aviators. The team believes every young woman should be able to look towards the sky and see a place for herself in flight. As we take a look at the L39, as Stephanie Getz repositions to the right, you will see some wing tips out there and some cylindrical shapes on the wings. Those are the fuel tanks for the Albatross. They carry about 100 liters or approximately 26 gallons of fuel each. It helps extend the L39's range when needed.
No, one or the other. All right. I'm coming, man.
Giving us a great look at the L39 for us today on this tremendous Saturday. Let's put our hands together for Stephanie Getz and the Pink Jet. She is a lady who takes a lot of pride in flying this aircraft. It's her first time flying here in Pensacola. And when she's not flying this airplane, she owns and operates her own L39, flies formation, and competes in aerobatic competitions around the country in her Laser 200. She has won multiple competitions during her flying career and continues to advance through the sport alongside some of the world's most accomplished pilots. Stephanie, who can be seen adorning her bright pink flight suit, is also working on her helicopter rating. She's also the founder of Getz Communications, an executive coaching and leadership training firm. Stephanie has flown around the world, but considers herself a Midwestern girl at heart. She's originally from Red Wing, Minnesota, and has spent many summers on her family's cattle ranch in North Dakota. Whether flying airplanes, competing in aerobatics, speaking to groups, or leading nonprofit initiatives, Stephanie very much enjoys adventure, service, and growth. Once again, from the right, here's the Pink Jet, the L39. Pink Jet's pilots, mechanics, and support team donate their time to further their mission. The team united by a shared commitment to raise awareness for breast cancer and empowering females in aviation. The Pink Jet was founded by Steve Oakley to embody the noble mission to find a cure to beat breast cancer. The enthusiasm for using aviation to further the awareness and encourage early detection led to this generous gift for all of us to enjoy in flight. They want to say thanks to the volunteers, sponsors, mechanics, pilots, and donors who help make the mission possible. How about a very nice round of applause for the Pink Jet, Stephanie Getz, and the Aero L39 Albatross. The 2026 Pensacola Beach Airshow, nourished by Manson, wants to say thanks to many of our local organizations who are supporting today's show. Our thanks to Step 1 Automotive Group. When you buy a vehicle from Step 1, it means something that most dealerships can't offer: the Step 1 Forever Warranty. It's lifetime powertrain coverage, no additional cost, and it's peace of mind long after you drive off the lot. It's simple, transparent, and it's built for you. That's the Step 1 Automotive Group, serving the the community of Northwest Florida. Thanks also to Penn Air Credit Union, celebrating the unwavering spirit, dedication, and confidence that makes our community great. Penn Air is proud to sponsor today's show and to help support the place we live, work, and play. Check them out online at pennair.org. Also, a big thanks to Gerber Collision and Glass. They're all in. From the first estimate to the final repair, they're focused on giving drivers a service experience they can count on. Learn more at visit gerbercollision.com. It's one of the most celebrated carrier-based fighters anywhere in the history of naval aviation. It is flown today by the talented Frank Kimmel of Greenwood, Mississippi. This airplane was known as the Bent-Winged Bird. It flew for the first time in May of 1940. It was the fastest aircraft in the world when it was introduced at some 470 miles an hour. It was introduced to Marine Fighter Squadron VMF 214. They were called the Black Sheep Squadron, and it was led by Major Gregory Pappy Boyington. They were proficient at what they did in the Pacific Theater and sparked the efforts of a television program that ran from 1976 to 1978. It was called Ba Ba Black Sheep, and this was their theme. That was the theme song to that TV show in the 70s that starred Robert Conrad as Pappy Boyington, one of the top scoring aces of the Pacific. An ace signifying the tallying of at least 5 aerial victories. The real Pappy Boyington had 28 of them. We're going to watch to the right as Frank Kimmel brings this iconic and legendary fighter of World War II right back down towards the beach for his next maneuver. More than 12,800 chance-fought F-4U Corsairs were built. Today, less than 20 of them are still in airworthy condition, and what a sight it is. Powered by the Pratt & Whitney R2800 double wasp radial engine, it produced over 2,300 plus combined horsepower. Corsair was called the Bent-Winged Bird due to its inverted gull wing design. And early on, the early versions had a couple of problems. Those aircraft carrier decks back then, made of wood, straight deck carriers, and a 14-foot propeller on a straight wing design would often strike the carrier deck, and in some cases either break the propeller off or perhaps injure the airplane quite a bit. It was a very tall aircraft, but the designers at Chance Vought came up with a solution. They bent the wings downwards at the fuselage some 90 degrees, and they bowed them outwards. It was called an inverted gull wing design. It allowed the landing gear to be mounted at its lowest point, making it a short and strong platform to take the punishment of arrested carrier landings. It was very versatile in the Pacific. The Imperial Japanese named it Whistling Death. Another common name by pilots and maintainers was the Hose Nose. Marine Fighter Squadron 214, the famous Black Sheep Squadron, was declared combat ready and deployed to the Guadalcanal in 1943. Under the leadership of Major Gregory Pappy Boyington, the Corsair and the Black Sheep Squadron became synonymous with marine aviation excellence in the Pacific. The Corsair, perhaps the branch's true first multi-role fighter. It was a night fighter, high-altitude fighter, fighter bomber, and photo reconnaissance platform. And under those wings, it could carry 4,000 pounds of bombs and 5-inch high-velocity rockets. It made it one of the most feared aircraft of its generation in any role. By the end of the war, the numbers do tell the story. Corsairs flew more than 64,000 sorties between the Navy and the Marine Corps, and they accounted for more than 2,100 combined aerial victories, with only 189 losses. It was a ratio of more than 11 to 1. The Corsair also delivered a great deal of ground armament and accounted for some 70% of those munitions deployed regardless of theater. We're going to watch now as Frank Kimmel puts the aircraft up on one wing and gives you a great bottom-up photo pass. Nicely flown for us today. What a sight it is. Let's put our hands together for Frank Kimmel and the F4U Corsair. Frank wishes to dedicate his performance to the greatest generation and to those that gave their all at home and abroad in defense of the world against tyranny. Here's the Corsair. The Corsair also flew prevalently in the Korean theater, or the Korean conflict, I should say. And one of those remarkable chapters was in September of 1952, where the young Jesse Pulmore shot down a Russian MiG-15 jet. You may know of the film Devotion that told the story of Ensign Jesse Brown, the first African-American aviator to complete the Navy's basic flight program. His wingman was that of Lieutenant Tom Hudner, and when Brown's Corsair went down in Korea, Hudner intentionally crash-landed his own aircraft to save his friend. He was awarded the Medal of Honor for that act. It's one of the most moving stories in American naval aviation history. This particular F4U-5 Corsair was built in 1949. It served with the Honduran Air Force that operated the type through 1979. This Corsair had the distinction of flying the final combat missions in Honduras in a conflict that you've probably not even heard of, known as the Football War. Honduras and El Salvador went to war over a soccer match. It's a bit of an interesting story if you get the chance to look it up. The aircraft later recovered after being nearly destroyed in Texas, restored to flying condition, and it is here with us today. It is now some 77 years old. He will now complete his performance and RTB back to the Pensacola International Airport. Ladies and gentlemen, a very nice performance and a big round of applause, if you would, for Frank Kimmel and the World War II era Chance Vaught F4U Corsair. Cool was that? Frank Kimmel from Greenwood, Mississippi, joining us in our expanded flying display here as part of the 2026 Pensacola Beach Airshow, presented and nourished by our friends at Manson. We do want to remind you to check out the pavilion area to visit our Airshow market, sponsored by the Blue Wahoos of Pensacola. It's there that you'll find a variety of food, drinks, vendors, and some great Airshow and Blue Angel merchandise, as well well as cold, alcoholic, and non-alcoholic drinks, and our hydration station, sponsored by Pro Health. It's also at the pavilion area that you can check out the U.S. Air Force's virtual airborne experience. It's there you can virtually fly an F-35 Lightning II or even help aero refuel a B-2 stealth bomber in full VR. You can check it out near Show Center, located near the iconic Pensacola Beach Ball Tower. We do want to remind you as we progress throughout this day and throughout the morning into the afternoon to continue to stay hydrated. Drink up on plenty of fluids. Our hydration station is where you can cool off for a few minutes, enjoy some clean restrooms, and refresh just a bit as we enjoy this day at the beach. Checking in with the air boss, that of Paul Intrican, and our mini boss this weekend, Antonio More. We're about to welcome in our next aerial performer, and I was telling you a little bit about the F-35 Lightning II with our U.S. Air Force recruiting exhibit. But speaking of some F-35s, are you ready for some noise? How about F-35s times 4? Little afterburner? That might be good? Yeah, I say we do that. Well, it is now time that we welcome to our show members of the 187th Fighter Wing of the Alabama Air National Guard. They are the Red Tails, and they fly the mighty F-35A Lightning IIs. They are based at Danley Field in Montgomery, Alabama, and the mission of this fighter wing is to provide combat-ready airmen advanced fighter aircraft and a commitment to this nation 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They fly the newest 5th-generation stealth aircraft for our United States Air Force. The F-35 standing in as the most advanced combat aircraft in the history of aviation, and they are here to bring us the power and the thunder of the F-35s as they work their way inbound at this time. Representing the fine men and women of the Alabama Air National Guard, we are proud to present the flyovers from the 100th Fighter Squadron, 187th Fighter Wing, piloted by Captain Liam Ubik, call sign Monday, Captain Nate Palmer, call sign Taser, Major Alan Pippin, call sign Hammer, and Captain James Ludwig, call sign Shaggy. The F-35A Lightning II is a multi-role aircraft produced by Lockheed Martin. It's the result of a multinational program spanning 3 U.S. services and 9 partner nations. It's powered by the F-135 engine, the most powerful fighter engine ever built. It produces over 43,000 pounds of thrust and enables the F-35s to reach speeds in excess of Mach 1 or over the speed of sound and altitudes over 40,000 feet. Right now, the 4th ship of F-35s are inbound and will perform an overhead brake, each performing an individual brake turn for a series of low approaches down the beach. We recommend that you get your hearing protection out and at the ready because this is going to be one loud and proud performance. The suspense, yes, it's killing me right now. But the F-35s are currently inbound from behind us at this time in the 4-ship fingertip formation. As they cross overhead, they'll peel off one at a time, repositioning for a series of low passes right down the beach. The 4 F-35As today carry the call sign of Bama Flight. Bama 11, 12, 13, and 14. It is now time for some serious noise. Over 43,000 pounds of thrust being generated per aircraft. From behind, it's the sound of freedom from the Alabama Air National Guard and the Red Tails. I give you the F-35A Lightning IIs. You haven't seen anything yet. They're going to set up for a series of high-speed passes from the left. The F-35 has a combination of stealth features and the ability to carry its weapons internally, meaning that the aircraft can engage targets at long range without detection. As each of the F-35s come around, you'll notice the shape of these airplanes. Its low observable design reduces radar signature to roughly to that of a size of a golf ball. The aircraft literally disappears to most radar systems. Setting up now for their in-trail low approaches from the 187th Fighter Wing of the Alabama Air National Guard. It's the F-35A Lightning IIs. Let's turn and burn! The F-35, flown by the Air Force, the Marine Corps, and the Navy, as well as the Air Forces and Navies of the United Kingdom, Australia, Italy, Israel, Japan, Norway, and the Netherlands. A tremendous amount of power being generated by the Pratt & Whitney F-135 engine. These aircraft carry 20-millimeter Vulcan cannons and can carry a full suite of advanced air-to-air missiles and precision-guided munitions, all internally, meaning that its stealth profile can maintain even while fully armed. We're going to continue to watch these F-35s as they work their way around, but judged by your round of applause, Pensacola, how do you like the 187th Fighter Wing and the F-35 so far? I can't hear you! They're hauling the bacon now from the left at just under the speed of sound. The 187th Fighter Wing, home to the 100th Fighter Squadron, whose lineage traces back to the Tuskegee Airmen, the Red Tails, America's first ever African-American military pilots. They trained in Tuskegee, Alabama, not far from where these jets are based today. 187th Fighter Wing received their first F-35s in December of 2023, becoming the first ever Air National Guard unit to transition to a fifth-generation fighter. They painted also many of their tails red. It was the first time that an operational U.S. Air Force unit has carried a colored livery on the F-35s. They're headed back to Danley Field on behalf of the 187th Fighter Wing and the Alabama Air National Guard. We hope you have enjoyed that brief display by the Red Tails and the F-35 Lightning IIs. Our thanks goes to the Alabama Air National Guard's 187th Fighter Wing for their support and participation in the 2026 Pensacola Beach Air Show, nourished by Manson. They'll be making their way back to Danley Field in Montgomery, Alabama. Flight time en route only about 20 minutes. It doesn't take them very long to go any place. Well, I want to change the pace now to something, well, a little slower, but as much thrilling as we just saw with the F-35s. Working her way inbound now is an individual named Carol Pelon. She is a wing walker. And she will be not riding in, but rather riding on top of the Boeing Super Stearman biplane that has currently been cleared into the box to our right. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen, as we get things going. As part of this third strike wing walking performance, Carol Pelon from Marsham, Quebec, Canada, is the owner of the airplane, but she's not flying it. She's riding on top of it. Stefan Trischuk is the pilot as he performs the hammerhead turnaround at Show Center, giving you a look at this World War II trainer turned air show platform. It's one of the most impressive sights you will see at any air show anywhere in the world today. Now, during the 1920s and the 1930s, it was a very romantic time in aviation when those daring young men and women in their fangled flying machines brought those things into towns like Pensacola. They would drop into a farmer's field and give rides to lucky people for sometimes just a penny a pound. Many of them went on to become crop dusting airplanes and, of course, excellent air show platforms. And Carol does what she enjoys most, wing walking. It's her personal calling. Is it the risk? Is it the speed? Perhaps the adrenaline? She will say no to all of those. For her, it is indeed that of freedom. And we're about to see that demonstrated in all of that great glory in just a few moments as they climb for altitude, again, high and to the left. She is on the top wing by aid of a stanchion. She has a lap belt, a couple of carabiners, and a couple of foot stirrups. Those are the only things holding her onto this airplane. And as Carol likes to say, throttle it up, baby. Let's watch as they go up and around for the big barrel roll at Show Center. She actually goes ballistic in about -G or 0G flight. Her feet get light off of the top wing, and she has to be very careful when she moves about that aircraft because the wings are made from fabric and wood construction. One wrong step and she'll actually punch a hole right through the wing design. Carol has performed with no less than 17 different pilots, 10 of which she helped accredit on 5 different aircraft. She's mentored a wing walking team in Austria, taught lower wing work and actual walking, and has set new wing walkers up for success. She has walked on some of the most powerful aircraft to even an ultralight. We're going to watch now as Stefan Trischuk pulls back on the stick as they perform the big old Barnstormers loop. You couldn't pay me to do that. That's a whole lot of #no for me. Let's put our hands together for wing walker Carol Pelon and the Boeing Super Stearman. #no, no, and no. This is a rare art form, ladies and gentlemen. Very few wing walkers exist on the face of the planet today, and we are seeing one of the finest as they dive in again, high and to our left. Staples of any third strike wing walking performance are a bright red airplane, a daring wing walker, and the best pilot skills available behind mountains of billowing smoke. You'll see a smile behind every maneuver as well. Carol has performed throughout the United States and Canada and has even displayed in the United Kingdom. It was common for the wing walkers of the barnstorming era to always strike poses, sometimes looking like a hood ornament and other times like a draped flag. Carol's going to come by and give you a great look and a great photo opportunity. This is what she calls the Mercury Man. Let's take a look. Carol has experience in dual wing walking, formation wing walks, nighttime pyro wing walking, whatever in the world that is, and she just excels at it solo. Carol has performed in front of millions of spectators across North America and the world. Her tagline, throttle it up, baby. She's inbound again from the left. She battles those hurricane-force winds wearing a suit that does reflect things like bugs and raindrops, but as you can imagine, it is very violent up there, and it's why she likes clear days like today. This next pass, it is called the Human Flag. I thought I had one of the finest seats in the house for the air show today. I think that firmly goes to Carol Pilon out there on the top wing of the Boeing Super Stearman biplane. Stefan Trischuk is the pilot. He's a very talented aviator, one of several pilots, including Joe Binder, who flies for Carol as they approach again from the right. Now, Carol is starting to move. Take a look at this. She's going to work her way from that stanchion and work her way halfway between the front cockpit and that top wing. She calls it the side saddle, and this is going to be her wave to each and every one of you. She is no longer connected to that airplane, besides with a foot and a hand. Let's take a look. Let's give Carol Pilon a big wave. And just because it's required, she has to step into the cockpit up front, sit down, and buckle up for landing. That's just the rule. They're going to RTB, return to base to the Pensacola International Airport and our friends at Pensacola Aviation. Ladies and gentlemen, completing their display for us today, let's put our hands together for the team at Third Strike Wing Walking, pilot Stefan Trischuk and wing walker Carol Pilon. Hashtag nope. What an incredible sight that is to see Carol Pilon. She makes her return to the Pensacola Beach Air Show this year. She's got the best seat in the house. That's without a doubt whatsoever. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we still have lots more to come. Are you enjoying yourselves thus far? Yeah, us too. And still to come on our show, we're going to be welcoming that of R.J. Gritter, flying the decathlon. Wait until you see him fly. Following that, the father-son duo of Ken and Austin Reeder will be with us, flying their Vans RV-8 experimental home-built airplanes. They're known as Team Redline. About 12:30, we'll welcome the Titan aerobatic team and their 3 North American AT-6 advanced trainers for a display of precision aerobatic flight, and Skip Stewart will tear things up in a big way in one of the world's most impressive aerobatic biplanes, named Prometheus. 1 o'clock will bring us the Red Bull Air Force, the full complement of our jumpers, Luke Akins, Mike Swanson, and John DeVore. Aaron Fitzgerald in the aerobatic Red Bull helicopter, and also Kevin Coleman for his full display in the Extra 300 SHP. We'll see the T-6A Texan 2s from the 80th Flying Training Wing based at Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas. And Veterans Flight will join us for a special salute down the line as we also recognize the efforts of recently awarded Medal of Honor recipient Royce Williams, who is joining us this weekend as part of our show. At about 2:30 today, 1:30. It's warm out, isn't it? We're going to have the water break, and at 2 o'clock today will be our United States Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron, the Blue Angels, as they take flight in their Boeing FA-18 Super Hornets. But while we've got just a couple of moments here before we get ready for R.J. Gritter and the decathlon, I'd like to go ahead and take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about our aerial stage, our aerobatic box. And here this weekend at Pensacola Beach, we have this aerobatic box. It stretches some 12,000 feet long. It's 3,000 feet wide, and it goes all the way up to 16,000 feet. It is in this giant cube of airspace, if you will, that our pilots can do what they do best: fly fast, fly aerobatically, fly upside down, and do things on a normal random Tuesday would get them in a whole lot of trouble. But it's in this wavered airspace they can do those things, and it's further encompassed by what is known as a temporary flight restriction, or TFR. It encompasses the 5 nautical mile radius from the center of our aerobatic box, as denoted by the U.S. Coast Guard ship, the mighty Barbara, the USS Barbara Mabritti out there, and goes all the way around to 5 miles, up to 16K. All of that airspace and everything that flies is in fact controlled by one individual. That is our air boss, and that is Paul Intrican. He's from Pensacola, Florida. It's his 33rd year here as the air boss, whose job is to keep the show together and the airplanes apart. It's a very technical job. It's a very demanding one, just to keep the show going and the airplanes separated as we hand them back off to Pensacola International or Naval Air Station Pensacola at Sherman Field. He is also aided this weekend by our mini boss, that of Antonio Morey, and also our buddy joining us from nearby Navarre, Karsten Brown. Good to see you, my friend. Glad you're with us. Listening in to our Air Boss frequency right now, we are just a couple of moments away from R.J. Gritter as he makes his way into our airspace. But we want to continue to remind you that the entirety of the Pensacola Beach area, that whole TFR that I was telling you about, is a no-drone zone, meaning no drones are allowed at any time at any altitude. That is a federal rule, and drone detection technology is in effect. So for the safety of our performers, our crew, and everyone here, it's a no-drone zone. They're not allowed at any time during the published airspace restriction times. We leave the flying to the professionals. RJ Gritter will be up next, working his way inbound from the hold. We hope you're getting tons of great pictures and videos of our show thus far and are using the official hashtag of the day. It's hashtag Pensacola Beach Airshow on all your social media posts. And whether it be Facebook, X, or Instagram, we'd love to see your content and the show as it's experienced through your point of view. And if you got some great shots as well, you can send them over my way at Airshow Luke. I get the opportunity, the honor, truly, to serve as the voice of some of North America's premier aerial events, and internationally every so often. I love to share my travels and, of course, connect with all of you. So remember to snap away, tag up, and hashtag Pensacola Beach Airshow and tag Airshow Luke. We'd love to connect with you there. This next performer joins us from the state of Virginia. He's flying an airplane that goes down in history as one of the most prevalent and popular military training platforms. It's called a decathlon. RJ Gritter is at the controls, a guy who got his start flying RC models. Pete Muntean is here to tell you all about it.
We didn't lose the audio. You can still hear the airplane noises. But RJ Gritter has his own announcer for his shows, and we don't have access to that feed. So enjoy RJ Gritter, but without their announcer. And we'll be back with the next performer right after he's done.
Oh, yeah. One of the most technical and exacting performers there are. And that slow roll that we just saw, so incredibly challenging to execute, but yet he flies it as straight as an arrow. RJ is very passionate about all things aviation and is supported by grassroots organizations like the Experimental Aircraft Association or the EAA. EAA Chapter 485 does some phenomenal work here in the Florida Panhandle year-round, introducing kids to the sky through their Young Eagles program, and has awarded multiple flight training scholarships to young people right here in the Pensacola community. Well, the action continues as momentarily we're about to welcome in two aviators who are longtime participants in our show. They're Ken and Austin Reeder, the father-son team of Team Redline, flying their experimental Vans RV-8 aircraft. They join us from the state of Ohio in some of the most impressive experimental amateur-built airplanes in the world today. They're inbound now, high and to our left as they begin their display. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to our Saturday show from all the way from Cincinnati, Ohio. It's Ken and Austin Reeder. It's Redline! They will start their performance for us in a maneuver as they climb it up and over the top for the next 13 or so minutes, showcasing some incredible dynamic and opposing maneuvers as they perform the downward bomb burst. These RV-8 aircraft I was telling you about are home-built airplanes. You can buy them as a kit. You can start to build one, in fact, on your kitchen table. They are some of the most popular type of experimental home-built airplanes in the history of aviation. They're a great way to go from point A to point B in a very great and fun way. We're going to watch them now to the left and to the right. Ken Reeder in Redline lead and Austin Reeder in Redline wing as they perform the simultaneous hammerhead turnarounds and make their way back to the center of our aerobatic airspace. This is going to be the opposing loop as they cross not once, but 3 total times. Up they go. There's the pass for number 1. They'll cross inverted for that second. Passing just a few feet apart, and they'll work their way around for that last and final cross right there. Let's give it up, everybody, for Team Redline in the opposing loop. Redline, it's not the limit, it's the goal as they perform their reversal Humpty Bump maneuvers, and they trade altitude for airspeed as they now converge onto show center with a closure rate of nearly 400 miles per hour. There's a rapid onset of positive G as they work their way to the backstretch of our aerobatic airspace and set up for the next part of our show. Ken Reeder is in the lead. He's a guy who's been flying for about as long as he can remember. He's accumulated more than 13,000 hours of flying time, flying everything from home-built airplanes to commercial airliners. Today, he's the owner of a construction business in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. He has built several of these Vans RV aircraft. Flying the wing is Austin Reeder. He accumulated several thousand hours of flight time in his own right, growing up with his dad, and just a few seasons ago, joined his father, earning his certification as a surface-level airshow performer. They're the only father-son duo in the airshow business today. Inbound from the left for the two-ship element formation loop. flying these airplanes just a few feet apart. How about another big round of applause for Ken and Austin Reeder and Redline. They're going to work their way off to the right-hand side and reposition for their next pass. This is going to be a challenging one as Austin and Ken will transition from wing to line abreast or side-by-side formation, meaning they'll have to look 90 degrees from their flight path to maintain station. It is very challenging to do. Let's listen in. It doesn't get much better than that. Let's make some noise for Team Redline in the formation hammerhead turnaround. Redline Airshows is proud to be supported by Hartzell Propeller, built on honor since 1917, to Champion Aerospace, Spark Plugs, and more, to Behringer Brakes, and the Dream Wraps of Cincinnati, Ohio. We're going to continue to listen in, this time as Ken and Austin approach for a maneuver they like to call the flip and the flop. Today. I can see it out there in their flying as they continue to shred the box out there in this in-trail looping maneuver. This is where it gets fun for these guys in this tail chase figure all the way around this full 360-degree vertical looping.
Hey, good shot.
The Redline team, one of the most sought-after two-ship aerobatic performances anywhere in the country today. Both Ken and Austin stay busy traveling across the continent, performing not only here in the United States, but in Canada and in Latin and Central America as well. We're going to continue to watch them as they showcase the superior roll rate control and maneuverability of the RV and Camise rolling pass. Now I want you to get your cameras ready because this is going to be a pretty cool flyby. Ken Reeder in Redline lead is going to approach inbound with the formation. He's going to roll the aircraft upside down and create a mirror effect, a little Top Gun style, if you will. They like to call it the mirror pass, and once they reach the center of the airshow box, they will then start a turn. It's one of the most difficult maneuvers to do. Let's take a look to the right for the Redline mirror formation pass. That's one of the most difficult and most uncomfortable figures for the flight leader to perform as he now rolls back upright, all the blood going from his head back down to his feet. Now, they're not done quite yet. They're going to set up for a graceful formation maneuver. It's going to look elegant, but it is in fact very difficult to do. For one airplane to perform what's called a barrel roll, certain things have to happen. Starting and stopping at the same altitude, airspeed, and the same heading. They'll maintain 1 plus G all the way around using the elevator, the ailerons, the rudder, and the throttle all the way through this formation maneuver. Let's listen in as Ken makes the call. Team Redline and the formation barrel roll. Maintaining precise position, Ken Reeder is in the lead. His job to fly the formation and to fly it well, smoothly, and deliberately providing a solid platform for his son Austin out there on the wing. Redline Airshows invite you to connect with them on social media on both Instagram and Facebook at Redline Airshows to see some cockpit footage and learn more about this team. They'll perform the clover loop maneuver now as they now rotate around while flying upside down. They will push outwards. Watch for what's about to happen. There's the switchblade, the cross, as they pass just a few feet apart. They'll extend to the left and the right as they converge once again for maximum speed and minimum separation as they approach for the inverted opposing pass. The most challenging part of any type of formation flight is placing it all back together as they complete the opposing loop Cuban rejoin. They'll quickly work their way back into that two-ship element formation. Team Redline is pleased to return to the Pensacola Beach Air Show. They have been a staple each and every year. Ken Reeder in the lead, bringing Austin around on the wing as they set up now for a very special tribute. And a little bit of love for all of those here at the 2026 Pensacola Beach Air Show, nourished by Manson. From high and behind us, over top of the beach ball, we're going to watch as they trade that altitude for airspeed and set up for something very special. From Team Redline with love, it's the Heart in the Sky. The Redline team would like to thank the Santa Rosa Island Authority for the opportunity and invitation to fly for you today, and of course to everyone in Pensacola and the Gulf Coast for their great hospitality as well. They want to say thanks to Hartzell Propeller, built on honor since 1917, to Champion Aerospace, Earth X Batteries, Flightline Interiors, Hooker Harness, X Fairings, etc., to JB Engine Service, Wheelan Aerospace Technologies, Oregon Aero, Stein Air, Avstar, and Dream Wraps of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Why is she doing that? Should I start?
Inbound now for their photo pass. A great look at these Vans RV'd aircraft before they make their way back to Pensacola International. Here's the photo pass, everybody. The father-son duo of Ken and Austin Reeder. Let's put our hands together and hear it for Team Redline. prepping for the show last year, I had learned that the Casino Beach parking lot closed at 3:30 in the morning. It ran out of parking spots, and supposedly it closed and was filled earlier this year. So if you're here with us, consider yourselves very lucky. And if you're within the sound of my voice, you are probably just about as center as it gets. The Coast Guard vessel, the mighty Barbara Moretti out there, marks the show center marker for our weekend. We want to say a big thanks to the United States Coast Guard for what they do each and every day. Another big shout out to our friends at the Pensacola Blue Wahoos for presenting our air show market and Blues Beachside Bazaar here at Show Center. Lots of great exhibits and things to see, including the U.S. Air Force Airborne VR experience. That's adjacent to the Beach Ball Water Tower and an opportunity to learn more about the Air Force and the careers that exist in that extraordinary organization. I got to tell you, it is a pretty cool honor to be with you on this day. My family used to bring me to this air show when I was in middle school. We'd vacation down here from Indiana on the Panhandle and loved just visiting Pensacola, enjoying all, of course, the great Blue Angels culture that it is here. It is certainly a mecca of those that really love flying and airplanes, and, of course, our United States Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron, the Blue Angels. But we're going to keep the air show action going because we are a few moments now from bringing to you, making their return to the Pensacola Beach Air Show, the award-winning Titan Aerobatic team. They're working their way into the box now as we set up for their full formation aerobatic performance. We're very proud to present the Titan Aerobatic team flying the North American AT-6 Texans. You're about to see a display of precision formation aerobatics in these iconic World War II era advanced trainers. As they work their way in, I want to make a very quick public safety announcement. If your name is Michael Anthony Diaz, Michael Anthony Diaz, if you would please report to the stage in front of the pavilion for a lost item. That's for Michael Anthony Diaz. The Titan Aerobatic team celebrates their 42nd air show season this year, being established back in 1984. They remain as one of the most in-demand performances in North America. As they work their way in, I'd like to take this moment to introduce to you the pilots flying. That in the lead position from Monroe, Louisiana, Jimmy Fordham. Flying the right wing from Lafayette, Louisiana is Steve Gustafson. And on flying the left wing from Tallulah, Louisiana is that of Steve Gustafson. Brian Reagan as well. We're going to watch now as the smoke comes on as they set up for their first maneuvers of the sequence. They are among the best in the world. The 2026 Pensacola Beach Air Show is proud to present the award-winning Titan Aerobatic team. Dive back in now for the formation barrel roll. Watch closely as the Titan pilots maintain the tight 3-foot wingtip separation all the way around this full 360-degree rolling maneuver. Was the formation barrel roll flown to perfection by the Titan aerobatic team. Let's make some noise for them. The smoke will now come off as they reposition to the right for their next series of maneuvers. This is an award-winning team, recipients of both the Bill Barber Award for Showmanship and the Art Scholl Memorial Showmanship Award. They've also been inducted into the ICAS Airshow's Hall of Fame. They're now climbing high and to the right as they work their way inbound. Jimmy Fordham in the lead brings Steve Gustafson and Brian Reagan in for the Titan Bomb Burst maneuver. Let's listen in. We watch now as Jimmy Fordham takes him over the top and calls, "Stand by, ready, break." Coming back in now with closure speeds over 400 miles an hour. Brian Reagan and Steve Gustafson close in tight for the opposition loop. With numbers 2 and 3 clear, Titan number 1, Jimmy Fordham dives in for his own solo vertical loop, pulling back to nearly 4 times the force of gravity. The snarl of those big Pratt & Whitney R1340 Wasp radial engines at power as the team repositions to the left. The next one of the toughest maneuvers, a rendezvous, all while flying in sequence and upside down. Watch as the Titans run in for the in-trail barrel roll. It's not an easy feat in these vintage 1940s Warbirds. Jimmy Fordham is in the lead. He began flying at the age of 14, taught by his father, and by age 18 had his private instrument and commercial ratings. He's been a captain for a major airline for over 30 years. Brian Reagan flies the right wing. He came aboard in 2008 when the team was in need of a backup pilot. He's an accomplished aviator who has grown into one of the strongest wingmen on the circuit. And Steve Gustafson started flying when he was a teenager. By age 23, he had logged more than 4,000 hours. He's one of the founding members of the Titan aerobatic team. This next maneuver is called the offset formation loop, giving you a superb planform view of all 3 of these North American AT-6 advanced trainers. are seeing formation aerobatics flown at its finest. Let's put our hands together for the award-winning Titan Aerobatic team. Keep those cameras out and at the ready as they're in now for the bottom-up photo pass. Look underneath the aircraft as they showcase that Titan's fuel logo as they fly just a few feet apart in close formation. They are one of the finest civilian aerobatic teams in our great nation today, proud to fly the flag of Titan, fueling success to the aviation industry since 1975. They climb now, setting up for the formation loop right into a series of half-cubit-8 reversals. And we'll listen in once more as Jimmy Fordham calls for the pull. Still in that extended trail formation, that sound that you're hearing, again, not so much the engine, but rather those propeller tips actually breaking the sound barrier at some 2,400 revolutions per minute. As the team wraps up their display by performing a in-trail barrel roll as they prep their entry to conclude their show. How about a nice round of applause for the Titan Aerobatic team? As they complete an exit, they'd like me to mention and thank their sponsors. They are Titan Fuels, fueling success to the aviation industry since 1975, to Aero LEDs, ACF 50, Aircraft Spruce and Specialties, and Concorde batteries. They want to say thanks to Goodyear, Hartzell Propeller, Bose Aviation Headsets, PS Engineering, JP Instruments, Genesis Aero Systems, Plane Power Alternators, Mid-Continent Aircraft Instruments, Aspen Avionics, Oric Aviation Instruments and Avionics, AC Air Technology, Pure White Smoke Oil, Brilladyne Aviation Lubricants, and to Hooker Harness. Thanks to Desert Tire, FlightHelmet.com, ICOM, Jepson, Lincoln Electric, LP Aero, John's 360 Coatings, Kimmel Aviation Insurance, Yonkin Aviation, Al's Aerial Spraying, to Clinton Body Shop, Higher Power Hydraulic Doors, the Warrior Bonfire Program, Aerospace Cardiology, and Paradigm Parachute and Defense. My name is Luke Carrico, and it has been my pleasure to present to you, my friends, the award-winning Titan Aerobatic team. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a look to the right. It's time for a man who's going to perform some nice, gentle... No, he's not. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Diving in, high and to the right. One of the most impressive airshow pilots in the world today. He indeed is one who flies just about as low to the water as one can. It's the one and only Skip Stewart and Prometheus. He will go nose for tail, tail for nose, the start of this very aggressive aerobatic routine, and it doesn't stop there. This is an unmatched display by just about anybody else in the world today. He will pick up the airspeed that he needs. I'm going to let you watch this guy, as there are few performers anywhere in the world with the same amount of energy, power, and sheer aggressiveness that is Skip Stewart and Prometheus. Recipient of the Bill Barber Award for Showmanship and the Art Show Memorial Showmanship Award. He's one of the world's most respected and recognizable air show pilots. We're going to watch him now to the left-hand side as he picks up his airspeed once more, and he will pull into the vertical for one of my favorite maneuvers. It is called that of the pinwheel. We'll see it here in just a couple of moments. We've told you a little bit about those positive G's, pushing him into the airplane. The negative G's really hurt, and during this display, Skip will experience upwards to around 10 to 11 positive G's and 5 negative. There's the pinwheel, everybody, as he turns on the dime and gives you 8.5 cents change. He will accelerate now, flying upside down, everything in that cockpit trying to push him out of the airplane. There's some 200 miles an hour as he pulls back on the stick once more. This is called the triple avalanche, going for 1, 2, and 3 snap rolls. He'll stop it. That's precision, that's power, and that's the performance of Skip Stewart and Prometheus. Skip built this biplane from the ground up for exactly what you are witnessing today. He calls this biplane Prometheus. It means forethought, and it was the rebel Titan who displeased Zeus by taking from him and giving the people of Earth the power of fire. Skip doesn't just borrow the name, he flies with that same fire and rebellious energy, and it all comes courtesy of this hot rod paint job as well. Starting off as a Pitts S2S, Prometheus has been rebuilt to become the ultimate hot rod machine. Some 400 horsepower, 540 cubic inches of Lycoming power, and a 3-bladed whirlwind propeller that just claws the air. It's aggressive just sitting on the ground. dive it back in again from our right. What do you think, Florida? Let's put our hands together for Skip Stewart. Right down on the deck, right over top of the pier as he sets up now for a maneuver called the centrifuge. He'll push it all the way around forward stick, and around he goes. It's kind of like taking a ride in your washing machine. It is incredibly violent in that cockpit. To the left, just a couple of feet above the surface of the water, he'll pull back once more and work his way inbound again. Slowing it down, forward stick, more outside shoulder rolls, 1, 2, and he'll stop it inverted. If you were in the cockpit with Skip, you would hear him at times go, hoo-ah, as he works to stress his lower body muscles so he can keep the blood up in his brain so he can stay conscious and keep flying. He does it the hard way, a negative G flight as he now pulls back. This is the world's smallest inside loop. Some 5Gs negative to some 4Gs positive at maneuver. A nearly 9G swing as he performs a series of high alpha rolls down the line. Skip's flying has been featured on the Today Show, Good Morning America, as well as various magazines, including Air and Space Magazine, AOPA, Sports Illustrated, Plane and Pilot, World Airshow News, and many other international outlets and publications. Here's a maneuver he calls the slide winder. Take a look at this. He'll do a shoulder roll. He'll stop it again, a knife edge flight, flying slideways out there. Let's make some noise and hear it for the man from Memphis, Tennessee, and Skip Stewart. Now, as Skip works his way out in front of us, I want you to take a look at the pier. Out there are a couple of poles, and between those two poles are some ribbons. They're only about 30 feet above the side deck railings of the pier. And it is Skip Stewart's job today to cut those ribbons with the propeller of his airplane. He's one of only few who's authorized to do what we call a ribbon cut. He is setting up now for his hot run. Will he do it? We don't know. It is an attempt indeed. It all just has to feel right and just make sense. What I didn't tell you, ladies and gentlemen, he's going to do it while flying upside down. Let's take a look. And cha-ching, he got it. How about that, people of Pensacola Beach? You are seeing among the pinnacle of power aerobatics and surgical precision in the sky. Let's put our hands together once more and make one of the biggest cheers all day for the one and only Skip Stewart and Prometheus. He'll slow it down in a bit of a Harrier pass up there and set up again for another pass down the line. Skip Stewart Air Show is brought to you by Aero Classics, Electronics International, Switlick Survival Products, Goodyear Aviation, Hooker Harness, Concord Batteries, Airflow Performance, Champion Aerospace, Sarasota Avionics, Pacific Oil Coolers, MGL Avionics, and Behringer Aero. Skip Stewart likes to fly really close to the water. And to do that now, he's going to set up for his signature knife edge pass, just a couple of inches above the H2O out there in the Gulf. He's going to be at fish scaring altitudes out there as he holds it in knife edge flight. The wings no longer creating any lift right there, just the power of the engine and the rudder pulling him along. It's Skip Stewart. Ladies and gentlemen, for the 2026 Pensacola Beach Air Show nourished by Manson, one final round of applause, if you would, for the award-winning Skip Stewart and his biplane he calls Prometheus. now work our way to the backstretch of our flying display here as part of the 2026 Pensacola Beach Air Show. Still to come, that of our T-6A Texan 2s from the 80th Flight and Training Wing at Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas. They'll be doing a couple of flybys for us. We'll get us a chance to see veterans flight as well. And a special veterans salute and a hello to recently awarded Medal of Honor recipient Royce Williams. But before we do that, and before we turn things over to the United States Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron, the Blue Angels, at 2 o'clock, it's now time for the return of the Red Bull Air Force. We had the chance at the beginning of our formal show to see our opening flag jump performed by Luke Akins. He was also joined by the skydivers of Mike Swanson and John DeVore, and at altitude that of Aaron Fitzgerald in the aerobatic helicopter, and Kevin Coleman in the Extra 300 SHP. They are now back for their full power aerobatic display that will feature some aerobatics by Kevin. We'll see some really super incredible things with the aerobatic helicopter with Aaron Fitzgerald, and a couple of different forms of different skydiving with Luke Akins, Mike Swanson, and John DeVore. Now, this is going to be a pretty different way to get things going, but for the folks at the Red Bull Air Force, this is just what they wake up to do each and every day. Take a look to the left, ladies and gentlemen. You will see Aaron Fitzgerald from Los Angeles, California, work his way inbound to Show Center. He's got a couple of passengers on board, including that of Luke Akins, who will be opening this show in a very unique way. And Aaron is going to climb this helicopter up to about 1,200 feet above the water, where in a moment, Luke Akins, a guy that once jumped out of an airplane without a parachute and landed into a net, is going to do something really impressive. It's going to be a base jump out of this helicopter. Luke Akins, an accomplished skydiver with tens of thousands of parachute jumps. This is going to be awesome. Now, I want to take this opportunity to say hello to Luke, who's currently working his way out to the side of the helicopter. Hey, Luke, it's Luke. How copy? We see him circling high and to the left. I was just telling everybody, Luke, this is going to be a bit of a base jump out of the helicopter, right? This is crazy, but I can't wait for what's in store. We've got Kevin inbound now from the left. Count it down for us. You've got the most expeditious arrival of anybody on this island here for the show today. Yes, indeed. We're going to continue to watch you as you work your way into the target area, working those risers as well. Swoop it on in for us, Luke. Working his way down. Take a look. Swoop, and there it is for a beautiful tiptoe landing. Let's again put our hands together for Luke Akins and the Red Bull Air Force. High and to the right, quickly working his way into Show Center, is Kevin Coleman. Kevin is from Coachella, Louisiana, and is one of the world's most impressive aerobatic performers, flying this German-built Extra 300 SHP aircraft. It's very strong, it's very lightweight, and today, very much is a backpack with wings. Those wings an extension of Kevin Coleman's personality in a very big way. Weighing in at only about 1,200 pounds, this aircraft weighs less than that of an economy car, but with nearly 350 horsepower, gives it a thrust-to-weight ratio of nearly 1-to-1. They say you don't so much get into these airplanes as you do strap them on. We're going to watch him to the right, upside down. Oh, that was a low pass. Right over top of the pier as he rolls upright and brings his way inbound once again from the right. These airplanes have become so incredibly strong and advanced that they're no longer structurally limited. They're only structurally limited by the physical stamina and the build of the pilot inside. Kevin Coleman, a guy who loves this part of the world and has been performing at this air show for many years indeed. He's one of the to be reckoned with pilots in the air show business today. Let's make some noise for him. He's going to continue to work his way around in front of us. Kevin Coleman, a guy who got his start flying a variety of airplanes as a kid and was taught to do what you're seeing right now via the legendary Marion Cole, a great aerobatic and air show pilot.
Guys are going to jump.
Kevin has competed in the Red Bull Air Race World Championships around the world in the Challenger class, doing so incredibly well in the standings. And he is most comfortable right side up as he is right side down. Now, I want you to take a look high and above. We've got more jumpers that have been deployed from the helicopter. These are that of Mike Swanson and John DeVore. They are flying wingsuits, flying almost like that of Rocky the Flying Squirrel. They've got some panels that open that serve as flight controls. They move their hands, their feet, their arms, and their legs to maneuver these canopies upwards to some 100 miles per hour. Two good shoots now as Mike Swanson and John DeVore are underneath those canopies now. They warp that the airfoil that are these parachutes, much like how the Wright brothers flew back in 1903 by warping the wings. To fly the chutes, it's fairly simple. To turn left, they pull down on the left steering line. To turn right, they pull down on the right steering line. And as they near the ground, they'll pull down on both steering lines simultaneously for the slowest and safest possible landing. They are low enough that they can hear you. Let's make some noise for Mike Swanson and John DeVore. And a beautiful stand-up landing in the LZ, our landing area. There's John DeVore inbound at the speed of a speeding ticket for another beautiful stand-up landing. Well, the action doesn't stay dull for long because we had the chance to see Aaron Fitzgerald in the BO-105 helicopter a little bit earlier on, and of course deploy our jumpers. He's about to work his way inbound to set up for his portion of this show. The Red Bull Air Force, some of the most incredible aviators who take the culture, the passion, and the capabilities of flight to the next level. They are amazing at what they do. And in the case of skydiver Luke Akins, he's got over 15,000 combined parachute jumps to his credit. You can hear Kevin Coleman up there. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. That of Jeff Provenzano. Fallen down from altitude under canopy as Kevin Coleman works to circle around as well. This is what we call, aptly named, The Fall with Kevin. I don't name them, I just read them. In the flat spin, he will recover, and you will see that canopy up there. You'll notice that this canopy is a little smaller than the one that we saw Luke Aikens jump in earlier. It's called a swoop chute, and they can actually accelerate these little parachutes upwards to about 70 miles an hour and do quite a bit of tracking across the ground. Jeff Provenzano, one of the great members of the Red Bull Air Force, he's going to work his way into the target area at this time. Look at the speed of this thing. Watch him as he pulls down on both of those risers for yet another beautiful Red Bull stand-up landing. Yeah! Here comes Aaron Fitzgerald from the right in the Bokov BO-105 helicopter. Aaron is from Washington State. He now lives in L.A. and is part of a very small cadre of helicopter pilots that fly for Red Bull and are authorized to do things like this. Yep. That's a role in a helicopter, doing things that helicopters simply weren't built to do. Aaron is a pretty unique individual. He started flying on his own. He was in the military. He wasn't a pilot, but he always wanted to fly helicopters. And he got out and put that GI Bill to work. And now this is what he's doing at some of the most impressive outdoor extreme sport events anywhere in our nation today. He's been trained by some of the best of the Flying Bulls of Austria. He'll pull back on the collective and the cyclic now as he performs a loop at Show Center. And what allows these maneuvers to happen is the fact that the Bokov BO-105 has a solid titanium rigid rotor head, meaning that the rotors themselves do not flex and they're very strong. If you tried this in a normal helicopter, you rip the rotors off and probably cut off the tail. It doesn't get very fun at that point. But for the Bokov BO-105, it's one of a very few anywhere on this green earth that can do aerobatics like we're seeing right now with Aaron Fitzgerald. Believe it or not, it's fairly mundane in the cockpit there of the BO-105. It's a helicopter that has served in the medevac world, particularly for aeromedical evacuation work, and we see it commonly flown quite a bit in Europe. Up and over the top once more. It's just unnatural, isn't it? To see a helicopter go upside down. He'll continue to work his way to the center of our aerobatic box, but judged by your round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, how do you like the Red Bull Air Force so far? There's the backflip by the BO-105 as Aaron Fitzgerald levels out right here in front of Show Center. He's going to set up for one of my favorite maneuvers off to the left-hand side. It's called the bow turn. He's got the cyclic and the collective that changes the pitch of that rotor head and the blades a little bit and allows him to get the lift where he wants it and where he doesn't want it. It is a very methodical dance. It looks like he's almost riding a unicycle out there in the helicopter, doing things that rotary winged flight, well, shouldn't allow. And to the right, this is that bow turn I was telling you about. Forward collective, all the way around. He'll pivot it. Just nuts. I don't even know how you do that. Couldn't tell you. Aaron Fitzgerald grew up in Washington State. He would visit his nearby airport and watch the fire bombers work their way out to go fight the fires in that part of the world, those wildfires. And he always just wanted to fly. He served as a paratrooper with the United States Army with the famed 82nd Airborne and has even supported the efforts of quite a few feature films and many movies, including that of SWAT, SEAL Team, Extraction, The Mummy, Countdown, The Diplomat, NCIS, Snowfall, 911, and many more. He's also a test pilot supporting the efforts of NASA, Blue Origin, and JPL, and he has served as the aerial coordinator for many world records. Listen to the helicopter as he comes by. You can hear those rotors really clawing at the air. We call it blade slap. He's going to bring it inbound for a maneuver that we just make him do. Aaron doesn't like a whole lot of attention, but what he's going to do is circle out front of the Coast Guard vessel, the Mighty Barbara out there, and he's going to put the helicopter into a hover. This is his salute to all of you. It's a bow, ladies and gentlemen. Let's put our hands in the air. Wave your hats as well. Let's give it up for Aaron Fitzgerald. We're going to keep the action going as Aaron clears low and to the left. As high above us is Kevin Coleman and the Red Bull Extra 300 SHP preparing to fall this airplane out of the sky at some 4,000 feet per minute. That aircraft no longer flying, but it is falling, and it's falling with style. You make the Pixar reference, as he will now reconnect with the air right about there and fly out of it about 1,000 feet above the water as he sets up for one of his signature maneuvers. It's called the Indo Tumble. Dive it back towards show center. There's a rapid 9G pull into the vertical upline as he sets up now to perform a maneuver known as the torque roll. It was first seen back in 1972 by the great late Charlie Hillard to win for the U.S. the gold as the propeller and the torque turns the aircraft in one direction, the propeller the other. He'll back it up with air speeds of some 60 miles an hour in reverse. He's backing it up like Terry and like a fire truck. Let's give it up for Kevin Coleman and the torque roll. The gyroscopic power of the motor and the propeller will make this airplane turn end over end over end, as Kevin is often along for the ride, but he knows the right input to provide, so he gets the right output each and every time. During this routine, he'll experience about 12 times the force of gravity. As we stand here on Earth, we're at 1G, but as he pulls